You are watching 2+U Nevada, and I'm so excited to have Jen Campbell here with Awaken joining us this afternoon. Jen, you are a co-founder of Awaken. When we were talking on the phone about how you even knew to get this organization started, I feel the origin story is very important because if you don't know at home, Awaken helps to battle sex trafficking and help women get out of that life. How did you even know about that?
I actually didn't. It was 2010 and I had not yet heard the term human trafficking or sex trafficking, but I met Melissa Holland, who we co-founded Awaken together, and she was at the beginning stages of really figuring out, what does this look like for our community? We have legalized prostitution in our state. We're in fact the only state that has legalized prostitution. So we've created avenues in, but what are the exit strategies? What do we have for the women and the girls that are affected to actually exit prostitution? And we found in our community that we didn't have any. And so she's very much wired to then do something about it. And Melissa is still our visionary. Like, she has incredible vision. And then I'm more of a to-do checklist person. And so I was able to help us with our bylaws and our 501c3 and the business license. And together, we actually made a really good team. Still to this day, we run Awaken together. We're pretty different in our abilities, which is really good and it's healthy.
That's like Sophia and me, right? Like, we say we share a brain because I've got one half and she's got the other half.
Right. Without vision, I'd have nothing to do. And so it is a perfect match. And so really we realized at the beginning we were just doing therapy, and Melissa was doing the therapy and I was doing the relational aspects of it. The women needed rides to and from therapy, and in that I realized they hadn't eaten or they had errands to run, and it's great, let me pick you up and let's do it later this week. And we realized how ineffective just therapy is when as a community we have nothing else for these women. And so realistically, we're sending them back on the streets, we're sending them back to the pimps, we're sending them back to dysfunction. And it's like, no, until we as a community wake up to this issue, until we have more to offer them, then we got to grow first.
Right.
And so that was important for us as a community to wake up.
And I don't want to imply that because we have legal prostitution, those prostitutes are involved in sex trafficking or anything like that. But I think a lot of people, when Awaken first started and we hadn't heard about sex trafficking, didn't understand why sex trafficking would be an issue in a state where there is legalized prostitution. Can you help talk about that? We have a state that has legalized prostitution, but we also cannot deny that we have sex trafficking in our state, in our country, and in the world.
So not all prostitution is trafficking. All sex trafficking is prostitution. Yet, we're, as the only state that has legalized prostitution, our rates of illegal prostitution are illegal. It higher than any other state. We are 63% higher than the next highest state because we've made a market for it. We've created demand, and where you create demand, you have to bring in supply. And supply is women and children. And so until women and children quit selling, we're going to continue to have the highest rates. We're also desensitized to it. What people don't know is prostitution is actually not legal like in Washoe County or in Clark County. It's only in the counties that have less than, I believe, 700,000 people. And yet people think that prostitution is legal here. Like I said, we have the highest rates of illegal prostitution than any other state. And it's truly because we've created a market for it.
In the last 15 years, thankfully, the discussion has increased, not only in our community, not only in our state, but in the country as well. Do you think that's because of organizations like Awaken actually starting that conversation? And why does that conversation need to be had?
Conversation needs to be had because I myself, growing up in Reno, I didn't know. I was desensitized to it. I assumed that the women who were engaging in prostitution are choosing it, that they wanted to be there. And I never actually looked deeper. And so I didn't know the history of those that come from addiction, that come from generational prostitution, that come from abuse. I would say at Awaken, one of our preventative efforts is actually to run a group for girls, teen girls, that have experienced, whether it's physical abuse or sexual abuse, but haven't yet been trafficked. That's when we really need to interject, because out of the women and the girls that we work with, so many of them do have histories of being abused and neglected at really early ages. The youngest girl that I personally worked with that is a victim of sex trafficking has been 11 in our community, and she's not the only one. And I do hear about girls even younger. And so sadly, by the time that they get to Awaken, the abuse has started way before they ever get here. And so we're hearing about really early ages because in a sense, as a community, we've been groomed that this is okay. If you think about our media and what we see on TV or the radio, how we portray the sex culture and the sex industry, we almost glorify it and glamorize it. But that's not the reality that the women and the girls face.
We have about 30 seconds left. Quickly, are the victims that you're helping, are they local or are they brought in from somewhere else?
At Awaken, we've worked with over 1,200 women and children. Last year alone, we worked with over 190 plus secondary participants. We work with their healthy partners as well and their children to really wrap around the whole family unit. And out of those numbers, I would say 99% of them are local. They truly are our women, our sisters, our friends, and they're our community members. And so not many, and I do know that international trafficking happens, but we just don't see it right here in our community.
That is crazy. I would have assumed that they would have been brought into our community. So 99% of the people that you help grew up here.
And I would say they weren't kidnapped either. And so they weren't plucked off the streets. A lot of it, the traffickers know how to recruit through relationship, through love, through the desire within all of us to be seen, to be known, to be valued. They know how to actually provide that. And so it's not just as simple as plucking a girl off the streets, but there's a whole grooming and recruitment process, a lot of which now starts online.
Jen, how do people reach out to Awaken for either help, information, or donation?
So our office is right in the heart of where prostitution takes place in our community. It is right on 4th Street. You can also check out our website. It's awakenjustice.org.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're watching 2+U Nevada.